Good day everyone. Welcome to the lecture series on power electronics. In previous sessions we have seen single phase uncontrolled rectifiers, and in this session onwards we shall continue our discussion with single phase control rectifiers, and this lecture is dedicated to discussion about the half wave control rectifier, single phase half wave control rectifier. Now topics that I am going to cover: single phase half wave control rectifier with R load, RL load, RL load with freewheeling diode, RLE load, and RLE load with freewheeling diode. Before discussing about the control half wave control rectifier, let us see the switch that we are going to use in control rectifiers. For high power applications, usually we prefer to use SCR, which is also known as thyristor. And thyristor is a semi-control switch. So I mean to say, turn on state can be controlled by applying the control signal, that is gate current. However, turn on is usually somewhat difficult. You have to design external computation circuit usually to turn off the switch, that is thyristor. Of course, we have advantage of using this thyristor in rectifiers. In rectifiers, no need of separate commutation circuit, separate turn off circuit in order to switch off this device. So automatically, naturally, the turn off condition would take place naturally in rectifiers. So we will see how it is going to be. Now this is thyristor. Voltage across it has anode and cathode terminals, two terminals apart from control terminal, which is known as gate terminal. And voltage across this thyristor with anode positive and cathode negative, that is denoted by VT. So VT, and current through this from anode to cathode is denoted by IT. So again, this is also unidirectional switch. It is also unidirectional switch, but it can block voltage with either polarity. It has bipolar voltage blocking capability, but it is unidirectional current carrying switch. So current would be from anode to cathode only. And this turn on condition can be controlled by applying gate signal. Let us see various switching states. The first state is blocking state, forward blocking state. So now this would occur if VT is greater than 0 but less than breakover voltage with gate current 0. For example, if this voltage across thyristor with this polarity is less than breakover voltage, forward breakover voltage, and there is no gate current applied, then this switch would be in blocking state. It would be in off state. Current through that is equal to 0 and voltage across that is going to be open circuit voltage which is greater than 0. See, it is forward biased, but it is in the blocking state. It is turned off. And you can turn on this by applying some minimum gate current, more than some minimum gate current. So if VT is greater than 0 and gate current is somewhat greater than the minimum gate current required to turn on, then so this device would be driven into the forward conduction state, that is on state. And in this state, current through the switch would be same as on state current, where voltage across the switch, so ideally speaking 0, but practically it would be some in the range of 1 to 2 volts. And in case if this VT is less than 0, irrespective of the control signal, this would be in off state only, and that is known as reverse blocking state. So this thyristor is said to be in reverse blocking state. And during this state, IT is equal to 0, current through switch is going to be 0, and voltage across that would be open circuit voltage, which is negative. In fact, it is negative. And of course, even this voltage, negative voltage, also more than the reverse breakdown voltage, then once again switch would be driven into the reverse on state, and this operation is usually not recommended. One is to avoid the operating switch in breakdown region, either in forward or reverse. So the safe way of operating this this switch would be this way. So by applying gate pulse and in forward bias, you can turn on it. Of course, there are other triggering methods also, but this is one of the popular method, that is gate triggering. So by applying gate current more than the minimum gate current in forward bias, so the device can be turned on. So this is as simple as that. So you can control on state by applying gate signal. But coming to the turn off, that is somewhat difficult. So So turn off is somewhat difficult when compared to the other power semiconductor transistors like BJT, IGBT and MOSFET, where they can be turned on as well as turned off. They are completely control switches. They are fully control switches. You can turn on and turn off by applying the control signal. But in case of thyristor, so by removing gate pulse, you cannot turn off it. In fact, if one want to turn off it reliably, so first you have to ensure this anode current, that is current through the switch, is approaching 0, that is less than the minimum current, so that is almost 0, and then apply reverse voltage for specified time, so at least for some time. So and the time must be greater than this TQ, where TQ is known as device turn off time. So TQ is known as device turn off time. It is time period required by the switch in order to regain its blocking capability. And what is this TC? This is circuit turn off time. It is time provided by the circuit. Whenever you place this switch in the circuit, so it is time provided by the circuit for the switch to turn off. And this time should be more than this time. So in order to turn off, you have to apply, you have to see that anode current is approaching 0, that is 0 more or less, and apply reverse voltage across this switch for a time more than the device turn off time. So circuit turn off time should be more than device turn off time. So briefly, this is a review of thyristor as a control switch. It is semi-control switch. So now in order to turn off, usually we have to go for separate commutation circuit, but in case of the rectifier application, no need of separate turn off circuit, because commutation or turn off process would take place naturally. So in case of rectifiers, control rectifier case, the thyristors would go through the natural commutation process, natural turn off process. So with this, let us start with single phase half wave control rectifier operation. First we will start with the R load, simple load. So voltage across source is Vs, voltage across thyristor is Vt, and voltage across resistor is V0. This is resistive load. Voltage and current are going to be in phase. In fact, voltage and current through resistors are going to follow similar kind of wave shape. The shape is going to be same, maybe the magnitudes are different. Now 3 are connected in series, so current through 3 of them, source, thyristor, and then the load, so is going to be same. Okay, so now if you see during omega t, during the positive half cycle, so where omega t varies from 0 to alpha, so you can see that voltage across the switch is going to be positive, so it is going to be forward biased. Thyristor is going to be forward biased as this Vs is positive, and load voltage, load current is 0, load voltage is going to be 0. So simply this source voltage will appear across the switch. It is forward biased, but so this voltage during this period is less than the breakover voltage usually, that is in fact that has to be maintained. So this voltage is small so that device is not gone into the breakdown region, so device is still in off state, so it is in forward blocking state. So device is in off state, this is in off state. Voltage across this is same as the source voltage, and so as this is in off state, there would be no current flowing through the switch, so there is no current flowing through the load also. So Vs is same as Vt in this case. I0 is equal to 0, and coming to V0, as I0 is 0, V0 is also going to be 0 for resistor, right? Let me assume that resistance value is equal to R, so V0 is equal to I0 into R, which is also going to be 0. So that is mentioned here. You can see that V0 is 0 and I0 is 0, and Vt is same as Vs, so during this period. Now at alpha, at omega t is alpha, firing signal is given, so gate current is supplied here, so that this device is already forward bias and would be driven into the on state, and this is in the on state now. So at omega t onwards, it would be in on state, and voltage in on state, voltage across this would fall to 0 suddenly, and then this would be carrying a current which is equal to on state current, that is same as the load current. And as it is in on state, voltage across this is equal to 0, this source voltage would appear across the load directly. So from omega t is equal to alpha to pi, you will have the source voltage is equal to same as the load voltage. And coming to the current, so current through the load is same as V0 by R, so it would follow the same wave shape as that of the output voltage. And Vt, voltage across this device is going to be 0. Device is going to be 0. Okay. So now voltage and if you see at omega t is equal to pi, already current became 0, and we started applying reverse voltage. You can see at omega t is equal to pi onwards. So you can see, so this voltage anyway it is already reached to 0, and this voltage would appear across this, which is negative. So at omega t is equal to pi, current became 0 and reverse voltage is applied. So this switch would be driven into off state now, off state, and voltage across load is 0, current to load is equal to 0. Vs is same as Vt during the next period, that is omega t is equal to pi, omega t is equal to pi to 2 pi. So during negative half cycle, you can see that voltage across load is 0, current through load is 0, and voltage across thyristor is same as the source voltage this way, that is equal to minus V, and that is equal to minus Vm sin omega t, sorry, Vm sin omega t only, but in negative half cycle that is going to be negative. And coming to the peak inverse voltage, that is peak reverse voltage, that will appear across the thyristor during this period. So that is equal to anyway that is equal to Vm only. And this is the operation of this single phase half wave control rectifier with R load, and for one cycle, and same thing will repeat for next coming cycles also, that is 2 pi to 4 pi and 4 pi to 6 pi and so on. And here the important points to be noted, that is, so peak inverse voltage is same as Vm, right? Peak inverse voltage is same as Vm. And coming to circuit turn off time. So what is circuit turn off time? It is once current through thyristor became 0, how much duration you are applying reverse voltage so that thyristor can be driven into the off state. Now see, so we are applying, once current became 0, we are applying reverse voltage across thyristor. So this is reverse voltage, negative voltage. We are applying for omega into Tc time. So now see, this is the period, and this period is equal to pi radians, which is equal to omega into Tc. Omega into Tc. Now time period taken is Tc, then omega into Tc is equal to pi radians. So that way, so one can find out circuit turn off time also. Circuit turn off time is time during, so time after current through thyristor became 0 and the instant where reverse voltage become 0. So now see, so here thyristor current became 0 and reverse voltage become 0 somewhere here. So this is the period, time instant between these two periods, these two instants is known as the circuit turn off time. Now if you see here, the phase angle between input voltage and input current, if you find out the Fourier series, you can see that there is a phase angle difference between input voltage and input current, and that can be controlled by controlling the firing angle, controlling the firing gate current, controlling the firing angle. So that is the reason why, so this is known as phase control rectifier. By varying the firing angle alpha, the phase angle relationship between Vs and I0 can be controlled. So it is phase control rectifier. Now this is about the operation. Now let us see certain parameters which are useful in evaluating the performance. First one, conduction angle of thyristor. You can see that thyristor is conducting during this period, which is equal to pi minus alpha, right? Pi minus alpha. And peak inverse voltage across the thyristor, that is equal to Vm. Circuit turn off time, that is equal to omega t into Tc is equal to pi. So Tc is equal to pi by omega seconds, where pi is given in radians and omega is given in radians per second. RMS value of input voltage, so that is equal to Vm by root 2, and average and RMS value of output voltages you can find out. So we know that the output voltage is equal to Vm sin omega t from alpha to pi, and remaining period during the cycle it is equal to 0. For first cycle it is equal to 0, complete cycle. So now we know that V0 is equal to Vm sin omega t from alpha to pi only. So use that expression and find out the average value and RMS value of output voltages. You can see that average value equal to Vm by 2 pi into 1 plus cos alpha, and RMS value equal to under root 1 by 2 pi into Vm square by 2 into pi minus alpha plus half sin 2 alpha. RMS and average value of output currents. So we know this, in this case we have resistor. So we have resistor as a load. So Q resistor, output voltage and currents are going to be in phase. So I0 is equal to V0 by R. So average value of output current is equal to average value of output voltage by R. RMS value of output current is equal to RMS value of output voltage by R. And input power factor, we know input power factor is equal to average power supplied by the source by input VA. So average power supplied by the source, that is equal to power delivered to the load, which is equal to I square IOR square into R, that is RMS value of the resistor current square into resistance value, which is same as VOR into IOR also. And input VA is equal to VS into IOR, simply VS into IS, where IS also same as this. So in this case IS is same as I0 is same as IT. All are connected in series. Source, thyristor and load are connected in series, so their currents are equal. So input VA is equal to VS into IS, which is equal to VS into IOR. So substitute this, you will get input power factor is equal to V0 by Vs. So which is equal to 1 by under root 2 pi into square root pi minus alpha plus of sin 2 alpha. So anyway, so once you know these parameters, all these parameters, you can find out other performance parameters like transformer utilization factor, ripple factor and all other. So I suggest you to do it by your own. Okay, this is very important. Input power factor is one of the important parameter. So there are other important parameters, so that can be obtained by using this data. So these parameters. Now next one. So let us see the operation with RL load. So resistive and inductive load, resistive plus inductive load, RL in series. Now in this case, so we have R and L in series. Voltage across this combination is known as V0. And current through resistance and inductance, that is same as I0. So current through load is same as current through thyristor is same as current through source. Voltage across thyristor with this polarity is Vt. So input voltage equal to Vm sin omega t, that is shown here with this kind of waveform. Okay. Now again, so omega t ranging from 0 to alpha. So even though voltage output voltage is 0 and voltage across thyristor is same as Vs, which is positive, and thyristor is forward biased, it would not conduct, it is in forward blocking state. So voltage across load is going to be 0, current through load also going to be 0, and voltage across thyristor is same as the source voltage, that is this way. And during this period, so alpha to beta, so now here in case of R, resistive load alone, so load would conduct from alpha to pi, but we are adding inductor here. So by adding inductor, so angle would extend, conduction angle would extend from pi beyond pi. So let me say that is equal to beta. So it would conduct beyond pi. So load would conduct beyond pi, and thyristor would be even in the reverse bias condition, from pi to beta. Now you can see, so pi to beta, even though voltage is reverse, voltage across thyristor, input voltage is negative, still, so thyristor would conduct because the current through inductor is not made 0. So current through inductor cannot be abruptly made 0. So it would take some time. So it would reduce slowly, and this would be responsible for forward bias condition of the thyristor, even source voltage is negative. So during that period, what would happen? So during alpha to beta, the thyristor would conduct, and voltage across the source is same as voltage across load. So now see, so 0 alpha to pi it is positive, and pi to beta it is negative, but no problem. So the inductor would take care of the forward biasing condition of the thyristor. Now during this period, so you can observe that current through load would take this kind of path, this kind of wave shape. Okay, somewhere before the pi it would reach to peak value, and then it would try to decrease, and current would become 0 at beta only. Now coming to the voltage across thyristor, it becomes 0 because it is conducting. So during the conduction period of the thyristor, the voltage across that is going to be very small. Practically speaking, it is 1 to 2 volts range, but ideally speaking it is 0. So let me consider ideal thyristor, it is 0. And so once it becomes 0, once current through load becomes 0, load voltage would fall to 0. If load voltage is falling to 0, then this source voltage would appear across the thyristor, which is negative. Already it has been negative, right? It is already negative. So due to this negative voltage, so thyristor would be in reverse bias. So already current becomes 0, and we are applying reverse bias. We are applying reverse voltage across the thyristor. So thyristor would driven into the off state during this period. Of course, practically speaking, it would take some time to turn off, but ideally speaking, so immediately once current made 0 and reverse voltage applied, so immediately it is assumed that it is driven into the blocking state, reverse blocking state. So that is in the off state. So during that off state, so what will happen? So the voltage across load becomes 0, current to load becomes 0, and voltage across thyristor would be same as the source voltage, which is already negative, right? Negative. So that is this way. So this is the operation of the single phase off wave control rectifier with R load for one cycle, and same thing would repeat for next coming cycles also, that is from pi 2 pi to 4 pi and 4 pi to 6 pi respectively, the same way. So, and here the important parameters that one has to remember are these. The first one, the peak inverse voltage. Now you can see that peak inverse voltage is equal to, for example, if this beta is less than 3 pi by 2, in that case, so peak voltage would occur at, reverse voltage would occur at 3 pi by 2. So that is equal to Vm. In case if this if this beta is occurring and that is greater than 3 pi by 2, in that case the maximum reverse voltage would be same as Vm sin omega t, Vm sin beta. So peak inverse voltage depends on the beta value. If beta is less than 3 pi by 2, it is equal to Vm, and beta is greater than 3 pi by 2, it is equal to magnitude of Vm sin beta. And coming to the circuit turn off time. So after thyristor current became 0, we are applying reverse voltage for this period, that is beta to 2 pi. So 2 pi minus beta is known as the commutation angle, and commutation time, so circuit or simply circuit turn off time, so would be equal to, so this 2 pi minus beta by omega, where omega is the frequency of the supply in radians per second. So that way one can find out omega t. And coming to the conduction angle, if you see the conduction angle of the thyristor, that is between alpha and beta, right? So this is the conduction angle, that is beta minus alpha is the conduction angle. Okay. So now, so conduction angle of thyristor is beta minus alpha, the circuit turn off time is equal to 2 pi minus beta by omega, and peak inverse voltage is equal to Vm for beta less than 3 pi by 2, and that is equal to magnitude of Vm sin beta for beta greater than 3 pi by 2, and so on. RMS value of input voltage Vm by root 2, average and RMS values of the output voltages. So you can find from the concept of area under curve, so you can calculate the average and RMS values for the output voltage this way. So average value is equal to Vm by 2 pi into cos alpha minus cos beta, and RMS value, that is equal to Vm by 2 root pi into square root beta minus alpha plus half into sin 2 alpha minus 2 beta. This way one can calculate RMS value also. Now here, so the important thing that you have to remember is that the current wave shape is not similar to that of the voltage wave shape. So that is because it is not purely resistive load, no, it is RL load. We have inductance also. The wave shape would be somewhat different. So it is completely different from the voltage wave shape. Okay. So that also point to be remembered. Now the next one, so in order to calculate average value and RMS value of the current, so let us consider this fact. The average value of voltage across inductor must be 0 throughout the period, so otherwise that would not become 0, right? You can see, so if you consider 0 to 2 pi complete cycle, so you can see at beta itself the current through inductor or current through resistor, in fact, so both together is going to be 0, which is same as load current. That is possible if and only if average voltage across inductor is equal to 0. And we know according to KVL, V0 is equal to VR plus VL, and average value of voltage across inductor is 0. So from that, average value of V0 is equal to average value of VR, voltage across resistor. So from that you can say, so V0 is equal to VR, average value of voltage across load is equal to average value of voltage across resistor. So from the fact we can find out average value of output current is equal to V0 by R. And coming to RMS value, it is not that much easy. So you can see that so you have to, firstly you have to consider the I0 wave shape, and then you have to consider so this area, and then you have to take mean and you have to apply under root, which is somewhat difficult. So same concept cannot be applied in order to calculate the average value until unless it is constant value, current is constant. So that is not possible in this case. So, so this I0 value, how can you obtain this I0 expression? So that can be obtained by using this particular formula. So you know, according to the KVL, V0 is equal to voltage across resistor plus voltage across inductor, and voltage across resistor is equal to R into I0, and voltage across inductor is equal to L into di0 by dt. So solve this equation. So with the initial conditions, you will get to know exact mathematical expressions for I0. Substitute that in this equation would give you the RMS value of the load current. And once you know RMS value of load current, you can calculate the input power factor, that is equal to power delivered by the source by input VA. So which is going to be equal to I0 RMS value of output current into R by Vs. So this is the input power factor. So somewhat difficult to calculate, except the case where I0 is constant. I0 is constant, then our job becomes easy. So if I0 is constant, then average value is going to be same as the RMS value. So of course, in this case that is not true. Now so now in this case, the problem is that we have a period now during this half-wave control rectifier with RL load. So there is a period existing between pi and beta where output voltage is negative, current is positive. And during this period, so that is from pi to beta, the power is delivered back to the source. So net power consumed by the load would be reduced due to this particular scenario, due to this particular the negative voltage period. And moreover, output voltage also going to be reduced because we have negative area also, right? So while you integrating, you will find that the net area would be low this case. So output voltage also going to be low. And because of this negative area, so this beta, the conduction period also going to be somewhat lesser. Okay, and this demerits can be addressed by considering freewheeling diode. So freewheeling diode, consider freewheeling diode here. So this is the freewheeling diode, so connected in anti-parallel with the load this way. Now so here I assume that large inductance and load current is continuous. So after omega t is equal to pi, we are connecting this freewheeling diode, right? So this would be conducting, and this inductor would de-energized and energy would be given back to the resistor. By assuming time constant is somewhat higher, so you can assume that the current would reduce a slower rate, so that the current is going to be more or less continuous. That is my assumption. Current is going to be continuous. Current is not going to touch zero. So that is my assumption. So now during this particular thing, no, so from omega, so for this omega t is equal to 0 to alpha. So during this period, so what would happen? So during this period, so this thyristor is not fired. So firing angle is given here. Firing angle is given at alpha. Even though during this period this is forward bias, even though thyristor is forward bias, so there is no gate pulse applied, so it is in forward blocking state, so it is in off state, current to that is going to be 0. And we know according to this assumption, large inductance assumption, so current is going to be continuous. So it's steady state, so current should given with certain path. Now this freewheeling diode is the path provided. So instead of going this way, because it is in off state, so it can take this path. And during this period, freewheeling diode has to be forward biased, and this forward biasing condition would be taken care by the inductor. Inductor will induce voltage in such a way that so freewheeling diode is forward biased during that period. And during that period, the voltage across load is going to be 0, because that is same as the freewheeling diode voltage across this freewheeling diode voltage. And when it is conducting, drop is going to be 0, right? It is on state, voltage drop across is equal to 0, which is same as the output voltage. Coming to the load current, so it is going to decrease this way. It is going to decrease this way. So we know it is RL load, no? RL load. So without source, current would decrease gradually, right? So let me assume that is decreasing this way. And coming to the source current, so source current in this case is 0. There is no current drawn from the source. See, there is no path because this is open. Current through freewheeling diode, yeah, that is same as this output current. That is same as this output current. And voltage across thyristor is same as the source current, because you can apply KVL. Voltage across is equal to 0. Applying KVL, Vs would be same as Vt. So voltage across thyristor is positive, So thyristor is forward biased. Still it is in off state because there is no firing, there is no gate control signal is given. Now omega t is equal to alpha 2 pi. So you can see that, so firing is given, so firing angle here, the gate pulse is given, so at this alpha, so at alpha, so already it is thyristor forward biased and it is given with the control signal, so it is going to turn on. Now, so during this turn on, what would happen? So this current through load, so cannot abruptly become 0, so because it start conducting, so this thyristor is forward biased and gate pulse is given, it is in on state, it would be driven to on state, so it start conducting. So this inductor current would be shifted from this freewheeling diode path to this thyristor path, that is this way. So this is the path of the conduction. Okay, and during this period, voltage across thyristor is going to be 0 and Vs would be same as V0. Applying KVL, so Vt is equal to 0, Vs is same as V0. So that is positive this way. That is from alpha to pi, omega t ranging from alpha to pi. And during this period, so because positive voltage is applied, so inductor would be energized and current through that would rise slowly and gradually. So that is this way. So in smooth way. Of course, so this mathematical expression for this current can be obtained by solving the equation, that is V0 is equal to R into I0 plus L into di0 by dt. So we know V0 is equal to that. So from that you can compute you can calculate the mathematical expression for this I0 during this period. Now coming to, and during this period, source current is same as the load current. So this load current will be same as the source current, which is same as the thyristor current. So in this case, thyristor current is same as the source current, both are same. Okay, and freewheeling diode, yeah, it is not conducting, that is because it is reverse biased. You can see while this thyristor is conducting, voltage across the freewheeling diode with this polarity is positive. So this diode is reverse biased, it won't conduct. So current through that is going to be 0. And then the voltage drop across thyristor would become 0 because it is conducting. On state drop is assumed to be 0 in ideal case. Practically that is going to be 1 to 2 volts. So let me assume it is 0 ideal and let me take it as 0. So this is the operation from alpha ranging omega t ranging from alpha to pi. And pi onwards, so pi to 2 plus pi as 2 pi, pi to 2 pi, omega t ranging from pi to 2 pi. So what would happen? So, or simply pi to 2 pi alpha in fact. So what would happen? So, so during that period, so it is going to be the voltage across diode is voltage across load is going to be reverse, that is going to be negative, right? You can see at this omega t is equal to pi, output voltage try to become negative, but once it start becoming negative, this freewheeling diode would be forward biased. Freewheeling diode would be forward biased and it start conducting. So now the new path would be this way. So this is the path now. So that is from omega t from pi to 2 plus pi alpha. So that is pi to next firing angle, pi to, so this particular location. So until next firing angle is given. So during this period, so and we know according to assumption, current through inductor must be continuous and that continuous current must given with the path, and that path is through the freewheeling diode. This inductance would take care of the forward biasing condition of the freewheeling diode. So freewheeling diode is going to be forward biased during this period. And during this period, what is the voltage across the thyristor? Voltage across thyristor, because freewheeling diode is conducting, no? So voltage across this freewheeling diode is going to be 0, and voltage across thyristor would be same as Vs during this period. As long as this diode is conducting, this diode is conducting, that is from pi to 2 plus pi alpha during this period. Voltage across thyristor would be same as Vs. So that is same as Vs. So it is shown here. So this is the operation of wave control rectifier with R load with freewheeling diode. Now, so same thing will repeat for next cycle also. So same waveform would repeat for next 2 pi radians and so on for next coming cycles. So same operation and same waveforms would be repeated. Okay. Now, what is the advantage here? If you see, the advantage here is this. So there is no negative voltage appear across the load. Load voltage is always positive, so average value of load voltage would be increased. That is one of the advantage. And second advantage, there is no question of the power fed back to the source. See, the load voltage is positive and load current is positive. So during this period, that is from alpha to pi, so load takes the power, and remaining period, that is from pi to 2 pi plus alpha, during this period, the voltage across load is going to be 0. So energy stored in inductor would be given back to the resistor, not to the source. So in that way, net energy absorbed by the load, because resistor is only the element which can absorb the energy. So in this case, so energy stored in inductor is given back to the resistor instead of the load. So net power consumed by the load is going to be more. So for same input VA, load power consumed is more. So power factor would be more. So power delivered by source would be more, and input power factor is going to be more if at all you use freewheeling diode. So this is one of the advantage. And you can see peak inverse voltage would be same, so that is same as Vm again, so that is same as the peak voltage, peak reverse voltage, that is same as Vm. And coming to the conduction period of the thyristor, so conduction period of thyristor, so thyristor would conduct from alpha to pi only, and pi to 2 pi plus alpha, freewheeling diode would conduct. So freewheeling diode would conduct. So conduction angle of thyristor is pi minus alpha, and conduction angle of the freewheeling diode is equal to pi plus alpha. So total put together it is equal to 2 pi. So entire cycle either freewheeling diode or thyristor would conduct so as to ensure that current through inductor is continuous. Okay, and if you see here, so reverse voltage is appeared. So once the current through thyristor became 0, so you can see here, so thyristor current is shifted at omega t is equal to pi. Current through thyristor, current through load is shifted from thyristor to the freewheeling diode, right? Freewheeling diode. So during so at this particular moment, current through thyristor would become 0, which is same as current through source, that became 0, and immediately we are applying reverse voltage. We are applying reverse voltage for next pi radians. So omega Tc is equal to pi radians. So Tc, that is circuit turn off time, that is time provided by the circuit for device to be turn off, is equal to pi by omega. So this way one can compute the circuit turn off time. So let us see certain parameters which are important in evaluating performance. That is conduction of angle of thyristor is pi minus alpha, conduction angle of freewheeling diode is pi plus alpha, circuit turn off time is equal to pi by omega. So peak inverse voltage, so that is equal to Vm, RMS value of input voltage Vm by root 2, average and RMS value of input and output voltages. You can see here, so there is some improvement. So there is some improvement in the voltage waveform. Even though RMS value of voltage, you can see that VOR is reduced, but V0 is increased. Average value of output voltage is increased, and also the output voltage became smooth when compared to the previous case. And by assuming load inductance value is very, very high, so current can be continuous. So that can be continuous. And again, so similar way you can derive that average value of output voltage is same as average value of voltage across resistor. So from that, so average value of output current I0 is equal to V0 by R. And IOR, so you can compute this way. So this is the formula to compute IOR. So in order to compute IOR, you should know what is I0, and this mathematical expression for I0 can be obtained by solving this equation. That is L into di0 by dt plus R into I0 is equal to V0. So solve this, you will get. And input power factor, that is equal to IOR square into R by Vs into Is. So power absorbed by the load or power delivered by the source by Vs into Is. So this way one can improve the power factor. Now here there is some improvement in the power factor, you can see. Okay, you can see that because more power is delivered to the load, there is no feedback power to the source. So net power absorbed by the load is more in this case. Okay, so now so let us compare two cases, RL load with and without freewheeling diode. So you can see that the net power absorbed by the load in the freewheeling diode case is more relatively for same input VA. So input power factor is more, and efficiency also going to be more. Efficiency also going to be more energy is taken now, so efficiency also going to be more. So these are the advantages of using three-ring diode. It prevents load voltage from becoming negative. Load current waveform is going to be improved, so load performance is going to be better. So more energy stored in inductor is transferred to the resistor, so more efficiency and more power factor. So these are the advantages using